this is Tracy Lewis with Stuff and Things, and after many months of non-traditional picking up of the paper pumpkin box at our in-laws, we are on the road. We're down at the ocean, where it's all misty and wet down here, with lots of moss on the trees. And we picked up paper pumpkin today from the post office. I send my things to myself, general delivery, when we're on the road, as campgrounds don't receive U.S. mail. You typically are only allowed to mail medicine and RV parts to the parks. They're just not equipped to store all this stuff, so it makes sense. And it is paper pumpkin time. We are heading to the store, and then when we get home, I'll get started on this month's paper pumpkin called Jolly Gingerbread. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Tracy Lewis with Stuff and Things. I am finally home from shopping after we picked up the paper pumpkin from the post office here in town. I think it's wonderful that I can be anywhere in the United States and get my paper pumpkin. I do have to trust general delivery works, and it has not failed me yet. So let's get this open and see what we've got to play with. If you ever wonder what the next month's kit is going to have in it, I get a little preview with a GIF that I can load up on my website, and a short description of what it's going to be, so you can, if you want to know, always come to my website after, well, about the first, not even the first, toward the tail end of the month. They tend to publish an image and a little blurb about what it's going to be. So this one is gingerbread. It is called Jolly Gingerbread. Oh wow, I have never seen pink for a spot. That is great. Blushing Bride is the color, and my strategy for cutting these open is to align my X-Acto blade up between the top and the bottom. There's a little seam there, you can just follow along. I do that to both sides, and it just pops right off. I know some people talk about having issues getting that started. Alright, so what have we got? It looks like a house, a sweet treat for you to from, wishing you a jolly Christmas, some flourishes, a really pretty flourish, and then like an arched flourish. Happy holidays, more merry, enjoy, and with love. So, like those stamps. And the kit talks about coordinating cardstock and suggesting that you buy their coordinating cardstock, which the colors for this kit this month are Cinnamon Cider, Daffodil Delight, Calypso Coral, Mint Macaron, Shaded Spruce, Blushing Bride, and Whisper White. Okay. You get some mint macaron tissue. This is actually a thicker tissue than normal. I like it. Again, I always keep my tissue for gift-giving purposes. So I like when I get different colors. I even keep all of these boxes. Note a tip with these boxes: you can, if for mailing, you can actually turn them inside out. They come apart. I don't know if I've ever shown this. They actually very quickly come apart. And I store them flat. And then you can put them together inside out, stamp them, decorate them, and send them in the mail. Or just decorate them and give them as a gift container. So never throw away your paper pumpkin boxes. Lots of supplies this time, and it appears to be a small full roll of parent tape. So to give you an idea of the projects. All right, so we've got wonderful Colored Kisses plastic 3D dots. You get 2 sheets of them. Those are awesome. Some double-sided dots, 2 things of full-size dimensionals, and yes, as I said, 1/4 inch little roll of tear and tape. And I see a whole bunch of mini envelopes. The insides are indeed decorated all the way down, so me as an alternative person loves that. I will just unfold these envelopes and then trim them down and use these pieces in projects. You get to make a gingerbread box. Gingerbread, maybe not a box. A gift tag, I think, is what it is. Yep. Very clever. And you have these all coordinate with the envelopes that they go into. And you have cutout tags in the shape of a gingerbread house, and you get a bunch of those. Yep. Oh, and here's some plain ones. And then these are, I'm thinking sticker dies. That's what I'm feeling for, whether they are a sticker. Nope, no sticker. So a whole bunch of different sizes of labels. And then, of course, I also keep this chipboard. This is really thick chipboard, if you were wondering. I'm sure you've had them before. So these chipboard pieces I also store away and use for a variety of things. I mean, we use them for household projects, just anything that we need some heavy board, not as thick as cardboard, those get used. All right, so I am not going to do the project, which is, yep, a whole bunch of gift cards with their matching envelopes. And so I will be coming up with alternatives. I already talked about the colors. I already showed you how to open up the spot, which had been a while. Here's my new grid paper that Hub bought me because he actually accidentally left a window open and got my other grid paper wet. So here we have it, and it's got a cute, better than a box of puppies slogan. And I will come back shortly with some alternatives, so stay tuned. Hey, this is Tracy Lewis with Stuff and Things. I've been working on my alternatives, and I have to say, I already knew this was probably the case when I had seen the image that I put up on the website of what this kit was going to be themed of, and that's of the gingerbread. I think it's interesting that they didn't use a gingerbread man. They stuck with the whole gingerbread house. So I've done some things to try to extend the use of it, this particular theme, because it's not really one that I would use for Christmas giving. The sentiments, because it has a house, I really wish that it had had a From Our Home to Yours sentiment, and I've actually dug into my database and came up with a bunch of different sets that talk about Our Home to Yours, because I think that would really tie in this particular, the imagery that they used. There is a sentiment that says, wishing you a jolly Christmas. And because it's a gingerbread house, I would prefer that that had said, wishing you a sweet Christmas. So, given those challenges, I picked some supplemental supplies. And 2 of the supplies for trim that I chose was this new oatmeal gold. You could use any gold trim. This just is what I had on my desk. And then I used this Daffodil Delight ruched trim. You could just as easily use any white trim and color it with your reinkers, your pads, or your blends to whatever colors you want. So it's just whatever you prefer. The other items I picked were a lot of embossing folders. I think just any of these. I picked the brick because of the theme of the home. And I also chose these narrow ones with the little different textures on them, and then I used this one. So I used the metallic foils, and I opted for trying to dress up the gingerbread home. You do have the sweets, which are very cute, and I did use them, and I didn't think that they detracted much from my attempt at making prettier cards. And the reason why I ended up doing that is because the stamps are the filigree. So you have these fine filigree flourish style stamps to work with, and so that's the direction I took it. I just wanted to preface that. I picked all sorts of colors. So let's see, the ones that I actually ended up using have no rubber bands on them. So I did use the Blushing Bride that came with the kit. And then I had brought out a whole bunch of other colors that I thought I might get into, and I did not end up using them. So the top 4 are the ones that I used, and the Cajun Craze Daffodil Delight Calypso Coral Soft Sea Foam Crushed Curry, and this I had out the Blushing Bride in case I did any sponging, because I have my sponge on my version. So I did not use these 5 for inks anyways. And then cardstock, I did use these 2 and the Calypso Coral. And then I picked some DSPs. So let's get into what I came up with. So the clean and simple ones, I made 3, and they're not very exciting. One of them uses, oh, I forgot to show you. Here's the From Our Home to Yours stamp sets that I own. There's a couple of extras. One is called Light Me Home. It is a beautiful scene, a snowy scene, with a very nice font that says From Our Home to Yours, and that's in 3 rows. So I really like that. That set would have gone, and of course it has a house, so that's why it's on there. Poinsettia Petals, Warm Wishes From Our Home to Yours fits this set so perfectly. I'm really glad I have that available. These are smaller than the size, the actual size. You'll see the actual size in what I created. It is actually this big, so it's quite a bit larger. So when you're looking at these, that's not the true size. From Our House to Yours, I did not use this, but I think this would be perfect for this set. It ties in great. I think that there's 2 sets, I'm looking for the other one, that have a nice message of Fill Your Heart and Home. So there's 2 different sets that have nice inside card messaging. I'm going to go back here and find the other one. Alright, so Still Scenes is May the Timeless Message of Christmas fill your heart and home with joy today and always. And then, oh yeah, Peaceful Vows, which I do have. I bought it last year. May the spirit of peace gently fill your heart and home in this wonderful time of year. So that's a great inside sentiment. And if you haven't tried my lookup tool, I have a sentiment search tool that I do keep current. In fact, I need to start working on the January catalog sentiments, so they're all ready to go live on the 4th, I believe it is, when everything goes live. And so that's the sentiments I came up with. And I did use, just because I had it out, Stitched So Sweetly dies are scalloped. And let's see if I have the scallop out here hiding. I don't, but I will show it. I used the largest scallop just to show some layouts. All right, so for the Clean and Simple, I have Warm Wishes from Our Home to Yours. This is just no coloring. This is a nice coloring image. I did spend the time to color it for one example, and you can just color it, trim it down however you want. You could add a layer to it if you wanted, like a matte, because of the size of it. I just really like the house. I think that it is very cute, and the sentiment that I picked fits it perfectly. There's a Happy Holidays that I actually used on the one that I colored. On the back, I just did an all over with the scroll and with love. And there's another sentiment in joy that I think doesn't really go with the scrolls. That's the problem with the scrolls. To me, they just are very pretty. And so the with love and joy, and let's see what else we got. There's a sweet treat for you if you wanted to actually use this set for bagging up treats. More merry, I did not really see it going with the scrolls, so these three is pretty much what I came up with for our Clean and Simple cards. And now I will show some of my others. I didn't put everything together because I definitely want to be able to show the mix and match. So this is the mint macaron. I used a pretty flourish, and that even might be what it's called, or Parisian, I think. It's a very pretty, and I like how it dresses up these houses elements. So this is the back of the envelope. Wanted to get that used. I created a coordinating Happy Holidays sentiment. And then I like the 2-layer house, which is how they have this pieced together on the samples. So this one is sticking with that. And then I like the Happy Holidays. Somewhere overlapping between the two pieces. So I really liked that design. Now we'll see if I end up doing some mixing and matching later. Now this was my very first one, and it was attempting to see what I could do to dress up the house. I started with a wood DSP. I then created with the half wide embossing folders. So already this is very Christmassy looking, so I was going for the Christmassy look. And then I created this element, which is has the edges roughed, and then the gold edging is roughed. When the gold edging, after I trimmed it and I realized that it was going to fray, that's when I thought I should go ahead and rough up the edges of the home so that it matched. And then this is probably going to have to be centered, and I thought that that came out very nice. So that is number 2. Now if I take this fancier background, I'm curious how these other backgrounds work. So we can get some mixing and matching ideas. So I will take a bunch of photos. It makes me wonder if I could even do this. And in this one, I did not use any of the sweets on it. I thought that it was by itself fancy enough. You could use, since it has the star cut out, you could put a trim I have a later example that shows the gold trim on through the hole. There's 3 shapes. There's a house door shape, there's the star, and there's the heart. And then you have the extra pieces that I did show using the extra pieces on one so you could get some ideas for that. So that's the fancier one 2 ways. Now let's see what happens if we put this on this design. Yep, see, that works. So I'm definitely gonna take photos where I put the focal images on these various backgrounds, because these 2 backgrounds are just very different. And remember, you get 8 houses, but you have the back of the house as well as the front of the house, so that gives you 16 house shapes. Each house, by the way, is different. If you haven't opened your kit yet to see it, there's this house that has the snow and a brick bottom. There's the dark green, and you still in all cases get both the front and the back. And there's one more. It is yellow, and it has a different roof line. Let's see if that's, oh, this is the yellow one. Okay, so you get a total of 16 with different door colors, different roof treatments. You've got dots, you've got no edging, and you've got little lines. So that's 16 cards right there. So I would say if you go with the house theme, you can end up with a minimum of 16 cards, and that is not even touching the back of the envelope. The inside of the envelope, which I did work with so you could see it. So I can see this kit making lots and lots of cards. Okay, let's get another one going here. I want to show you the coloring of the house. So here is what I colored. I used blends, and I used all of the lights for every color. You know, the Daffodil Delight, I used Cajun Craze Light, Soft Seafoam was my mint macaron, and then Shaded Spruce Light. So with that, oops, I went ahead and I created a background here with some dots. I basically took the folder and I did 1/2, and then I moved it to the other side. And you can see I missed the middle here, but I wasn't too concerned, and I didn't overthink it because I knew I was going to be putting something over the top in that area. All right, so here is a banner. So this is a little more simple, more whimsical, not as fancy. And I have a couple of different sentiment options to share. There's this wishing you a jolly Christmas. I was really trying to work with that because that's what we were provided. I don't have any dimensionals on this half of the house because I might show it on a different background. All right, and then there is one more sentiment. There it is. So I went with the yellow candies, and I thought Happy Holidays down at the bottom. And this is where I used the Daffodil Delight trim, was at the top of this banner. Looking like that. So this is a little more casual. And now I am just curious what happens if I take off this fancy piece and I move these pieces. Onto wood. I thought the wood DSP tied in really nicely to the home theme. So you could do this style, again, a little more casual. Then let's see. You could even, here's what this house looks like on the Calypso coral background. I wanted to see what this house looks like. Yep, so that even works, doing some layering. And if you didn't like coloring, you could just use whatever color of ink you would like to coordinate. I was thinking it's too bad I'm not in Arizona this year, because in Arizona with southwestern style colors, this kit actually works really well for that. But I'm up here in the Pacific Northwest on the coast, in the rain, in the mist, every day. And so these colors just are not very good colors for me right now. All right, so now we've got some different ways to make the house. This is the house with the filigree on the top. Here is the house. It's the one with the heart, so you can't tell it's a heart anymore, but it has the tag. And you could add any kind of tag. If you had to do a linen trim, like a crumb cake colored tag, that tag trim, that would be fine. And so this particular house, I thought doing something like that would be cute. So in each case, all of these elements intermix nicely. I would, if I were gonna do this, probably wouldn't work with the all white. I would do something like this, where I put it on a mat, if it was gonna go on this background. Then the last card, or combination, because all of these can mix and match. And the last one, I think, is my favorite, probably because I'm a Western horse person. So, and I have one more background style to throw into the mix, as well as here I found buried on the bottom was the scallop that I talked about, the largest size scallop. We'll see if we've got them all. So this one isn't stuck together, and I chose the stars. So this is on the wood trim. And I really love the warm wishes from Our Home to Yours. And one of my stars went by the wayside, so I'm gonna dig out another one from my cup. So I really like that. That's more of a clean and simple sort of a look. And this is the back of the house folding gift card holder. And I just wanted to show that it doesn't necessarily have to have the colored door. All right, so now I want to play and show you. I've got so much going on here. And I want to keep it close so you can actually see everything. So this background I've got a little extra trim edge here along the bottom with the dashes that I would probably, if I used this extra scallop, I would trim the top and the bottom of whatever house I was using. And that just adds a little more depth. You can still use the stars. Now let's see what happens. You know, this could go right up here. And I think in the end, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 focals with some extra sentiments completed, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 backgrounds, 5 backgrounds, and I haven't shown you the 6th background, which is the brick. And again, we have warm whites and cool whites, and I'm not finding a problem with this. If I have, for instance, put this on a full whisper white, I actually really like this look a lot. Because I have separated the cooler white of the tag with the matte, you can't really tell that it's a different color of white. So now this one does have the backing on it. Let's just see what it looks like. Yeah, it's not that it would be used. I would sponge the edges if I were to just use this, which you get 9 of the decorated ones, and remember there's solid blank ones in here also that I did not use. Here they are. So you end up with 9 exact same size with no cutouts and no house door hole or decoration. So you can do what you want with these. So 9 extra. Oh, 10. You get more. You get 15 of these. So that's a lot of material. And even though for me, the content material isn't my favorite, I still was able to come up with quite a few different ways to make these into nice looking cards. And I still have, in addition to those blanks, I have all of these pieces. And these little door cutouts, you could probably do something interesting with if you wanted. In fact, I think on the instructions on the back it gives 2 alternatives, and those alternatives use the stars, the hearts, and these little doors. So there's a lot of different possibilities. I think that's all for this particular alternative kit, and I will be doing a whole bunch of photography, and we'll get this posted as soon as I can. And if you have any questions, concerns, suggestions, leave them on the YouTube video or go over to my blog. I will list all of these materials that I suggest would go nicely even if I didn't actually use them, so there'll be some extras that I had shown you and talked about. And I will include the Still or Peaceful Boughs stamp set that has the good messaging about peace in your heart and home. And that's it. That's all I got. Until next month for more alternatives. Thanks for watching.